All right, I had a lot of people get really upset and annoyed at my, no reprint video, and I just saw how much people don't understand at like how this system works, right? So people think because Pokemon doesn't tell everyone what the print cycles are or everything else, they don't tell the average consumer, right? Average consumer don't know shit. And that's a reason for that. They don't want you to know. And that's perfectly fine. That's how the ecosystem should be. The person at the bottom doesn't need to know. They just need to know when a product is available, and that's it. It doesn't matter when it's coming or when it's not. The idea is they want to drive the demand for you, right? They want to have you FOMO over it and be like, oh my God, I can see it. It's there. Like, here's the thing, right? If you know a product is on the shelf, right? If it's on the shelf right now and you know in 2 months they are reprinting it, are you going to be there and be like, oh, I should get it now because you're going to sit there and be like, oh, I know in 2 months it's going to be on the shelf again. Right now, I don't really need it. Maybe money's tight. Maybe, you just don't want to, you don't feel like it, right? But what happens if in the past, right? Like how Pokemon's been for the past while where, oh my God, if I don't get this today, I might not see it again, right? So then you buy it, right? And they want that. That's literally how business works. They want you to buy the thing now rather than think about it later and then not buy it. That's what they want. So I'm going to talk about like distros as a whole, right? So the way it works, right? So you have Big Daddy distro. I'm going to call it Timmy. What? Timmy distro. Timmy distro. Then you have the trading card stores. So you have your LG. Oh my God, I forgot how to. So this is. You're going to have like a little card, whatever. Cool. So you have your LGS, and then you have you. You got one of those spinny fan hats, right? So you are here. You cannot buy from Big Boy Distro. Big Boy Distro don't want anything to do with you. That's why a local game store exists, or a big retail store, or whatever else. They do not want to deal with any of the complaints that you have. They do not want to see you. They do not care, right? The only thing they want to know is, are you going to buy the product or are you not buying the product? And that's where you have an LGS in the middle, right? These are the ones that are handling everything. So any sort of customer complaints, any sort of, any issue that comes up, these are the guys that are handling it, right? These are also the people that bear the biggest brunt. If something goes wrong, who does little old Timmy blame? The LGS. If something goes right, the LGS don't get any reward. You are just like, yeah, cool. This is how it should be, right? But the second something goes wrong, you're instantly, LGS are, literally the worst thing alive. They are the second embodiment of a painter, right? I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that one. Whatever. So what happens, right, is the way production works is you have, let's go Pokemon over here. So Pokemon are the big boys. These guys are the ones that are designing the product. These are the ones that are saying what happens with the product, right? So what happens is big old Timmy Distro is going to approach Pokemon and be like, we will sell your product for you, right? You have all this product that you want to print, you want to make the game and everything else. We are going to put it out to the rest of the world for you, right? Because logistics is hard. So we'll cut all that stuff out for you. You just focus on making a solid game, a solid, creative thing. We will handle everything else. So what happens is they will reach out and they'll be like, cool. So the communication between these two is very clear because Timmy's distro has to be able to operate, right? They can't be like, okay, Mr. Pokemon, what happens? Are you going to give me stuff today? No? Okay, I'll ask you again tomorrow, right? That's not what happens. This stuff, much like all of the sets that are ever planned, right? So every single Pokemon set that is ever, or any TCG, any sort of set is years in advance, right? They know the next 3 to 6 years of the sets that they are probably going to create. Like these are already pre-designed, pre-planned, and like they're just waiting for the extra implementation of it. But everything is already been set in stone. They already know what's going to, like, what they want, right? And so little Timmy distro is like, okay, cool. So I get advanced notification of what's going to come, right? So Pokemon is like, all right, in the next year, we're going to be releasing these products, right? So for this year, it was like Phantasmal, Mega, um, or Mega One, Mega Dream, or sorry, Ascended Heroes. I'm confusing Japanese names. So Phantasmal, Mega, Ascended Heroes. We're gonna get Chaos Rain, Perfect Order, the Ruby Sapphire stuff. We're gonna, I think there was like the Emerald one or whatever else. So we know that we're gonna get 7 sets. 7? Yes, 7. 8. I don't know why I can't count. We know we're gonna get 8 sets at the minimum for the year, right? And these guys need a plan around that, right? Because these guys aren't just taking the product and that's it. They need to set up how much money do we need to pay you to get that product. Then they need to work out warehouse, right? I was going to say storage. It's a lot easier. So we need a storage location because when it first comes in, right, they are going to be printing ahead of time because they aren't waiting till the last minute to suddenly print it out and give it to you, because you've still, little old distro has to give it to the LGS, and then the LGS has to give it to you, right? So there needs to be that period between each of them where stock goes from Pokemon, goes to distro. Distro stores it, does whatever it needs, works out, okay, how am I going to allocate this? What are the logistics behind this, right? So this is where they start reaching out to the LGS. So LGSs, typically the way allocation works for most companies in Australia, the US is a bit different. Sometimes they forcibly allocate product to you and this is what you're getting. But in Australia, which is the Australian example, where LGS, they'll be like, okay, we have a certain amount of product. We aren't going to tell you how much we have, but we're going to put a message out to every LGS and be like, okay, how much product do you want? What is the demand for your store, right? So depending on how many people you have coming in to your store, it'll roughly adjust how much product you're going to be able to sell. In a market like this is a bad example because everyone wants to buy it because they know they can make quick profit, right? But typically in a normal market, the LGS will know how much product to order for their store. They're not going to be like, oh, we're going to order 10,000 units and we're going to sell out. No, they know if they get 10,000 units, they're going under. They're going bankrupt because they can't liquidate it that quickly, right? So they'll probably order maybe, let's say, 100 cases, right? So LGS 1 has ordered 100 cases. LGS 2 is a bit bigger and has ordered 300 cases. Now, LGS 4, well, 3 and 4, sorry, they've ordered 1,000 each, right? Because they're a bigger store. Maybe they've got multiple chains, whatever else. So what happens is all these numbers get correlated and sent to big old distro. Distro is like, okay, I was given a certain amount by Pokemon. Say, let's do it as 100,000 units, right? 100,000 units. So now they got to work out, how do we allocate this to give out as much product as we can to everyone in this circle while still maintaining good relationships with most of them, right? So the people that they're going to satisfy first and the most is going to be your bigger players. So the people wanting more product, because they are the ones that are going to be generating the most amount of money for the company, right? They're the ones that the distro is going to be offloading the most to. The more product that you can move to one location is cheaper overall than sending, and like just like cheaper on like logistics, time, hourly wage, everything else. It's the more product you're moving to one person, the better it is for your business, right? It's the same with bulk deals. Anytime you're doing a bulk deal, it's typically always cheaper and better for you because you're able to move larger amount of product onto someone else easier. It's one transaction versus 30 transactions with 30 different people. It's a lot more time consuming than to just send it all to one person. So what you have is you have big boy distro being like, all right, so we're going to give you exactly what you asked, right? Let's reduce the number. 100,000 a bit too big for this example. So we get 10,000, right? All right, so what's happening, right? So these guys, so we got the 10,000 units, right? You have 3 stores, or let's say 5 stores, right? That want 1,000 units each. We're going to give each of these stores 100% of their allocations. This isn't normal. In slower markets, this is kind of normal. You will get your allocation amount depending on how big you are. And yeah, so it'll be like, okay, cool. So we've allocated everything to those guys, right? So now we have 5,000 product left, right? Now we got to buy, okay, cool. So we got a couple of stores that want like 300, right? So there's like, 6 stores, 7 stores, 2,700. So, 2,100. So basically, there is now 2,900. That is how much product is left, right? And now this is when they will start selling off to the smaller stores. Now, say there's not 10 stores of these little guys. There is, let's say around the country, there's 50 that are wanting 100, right? There is not enough product to support all 50 for these stores. So what they're going to do is they're going to work out, okay, cool. So 2,900 divided by 50. Every store, even though they wanted 100, because we do not have enough supply, is going to be getting 58 cases, right? So they got less than they wanted. The big guys are going to get more of what they want. Whereas the little guy, because you are the last on the chain, you are going to get less. It's just how it works. Obviously, this is like a crazy number. What normally would happen is out of these 50 stores, there was still a hierarchy of what stores have more players. Like the biggest thing, especially nowadays, even in the past, is the bigger your play store, the more allocation you get, right? So when you have an LGS that has 10 players every week, they're like, all right, that's cool. You're all right. You're a little store. That's cool. We're going to give you a little bit. But there's another LGS down the road. They are doing 60 to 80 people every event, every single day. 60 to 80 people, full events. They're going to get more than the one that's doing 10 because there's more players to satisfy, right? They know, Distro knows, because all of these metrics are being sent back and forth between these two. Because Big Boy Pokemon wants to know everything that's going on here, but they don't want to deal with everything that's going on here, right? It's that I don't know why this is revolutionary for a lot of people, but apparently it is. So Timmy has been told already, I'm getting this amount from Pokemon. That's as simple as it is. They already know before they even go to companies how much they're going to be getting and when they're going to be getting it, right? It's that simple. They know, minimum 6 months to a year in advance. And that's why logistics and everything else, because if you're shipping 10,000 products, or typically on a larger scale, right? If you're shipping a million products, right? You can't ship that in 1 week. You need long periods. And that's why, especially when, say Pokemon's printing in the USA, right? So they've got a print factory in the USA. Timmy's distro is in Australia. Can you put 1 million units on a plane? No. Are you going to? No. Why? It's expensive. Flight is expensive. So what are you going to do? You're going to put it in a cargo. Like you're going to put it in a cargo container. You're going to put it in a boat. You're going to send it over. So the shipment period, so they're shipping by boat, right? How long does a boat trip take? On average, apparently, it is 3 to 7 weeks, right? But typically, it'll be on the larger end because you've got multiple weeks, say 2 to 3 weeks of just getting everything to the port, right? To the port. Then you got the shipment over to Australia, which is typically going to be on the lighter end of that. So it's probably 7 weeks. So 7 weeks. So we're just going to do the maximums here because typically mistakes happen, shit goes wrong. So at the minimum, it's going to be 10 weeks for it go from Pokemon in the USA to the distro in Australia. Congratulations. That's 3.5 months. Think about that. 3.5 months before it gets to Australia. If they are launching in 2 months or 3 months and they haven't even got the product yet, this isn't going to work. That don't work. That timeline don't work. That's why they know 6 months to a year in advance what is happening, because they need a plan for everything that comes next, right? So when it lands, you've then got to ship it to the distro. The distro then has to sort it out, work out, what's going on, where is it getting allocated, split it up into the different allocations, and then ship out logistically to each of these players. And that is another time-consuming step. And that is why pretty much the way most product is ordered, it is minimum. The day that these guys know about it is probably 3 to 6 months in advance, right? They are able to order 3 to 6 months in advance. And then once that happens, they then get their allocation typically 1 to 2 months ahead of the release date, right? So they know it's getting shorter nowadays, just because shit's going to hell, simply put. But typically they'll know 1 to 2 months in advance how much the product they're actually going to be getting, right? So big boy distro going to be telling them, all right, you're getting 58, you're getting this, you're getting this, you're getting this. Cool, simple. So now Mr. LGS can work out, how do I distribute this product to you, big boy Timmy, and how much is it going to work, right? And that's where they then start doing pre-sales, they start doing events, they start doing pre-release events, they start planning out all their schedule, right? Because until they know how much product they are going to get, they can't start doing events or planning out their events. They can't plan out their schedule. Because what if they're like, all right, cool, we're going to plan out a big event and it's going to be crazy. But what if they only get 10 cases? Maybe they planned for 200 people event. There's not going to be enough stock. There's not enough stock for them, right? So they have to wait for distro to tell them what they can do. And distro has to wait for Timmy at Pokemon Center how much they can do. It's a constant loop of this person, which is you, talk to your LGS. When's my stuff coming in? When am I going to get product? Blah, blah, blah. The LGS asks the exact same thing to the distro. And then the distro asks the same thing to Pokemon. And Pokemon will always be communicating between the distros of what is coming and when. They are not just blindsiding them and being like, hey, we're printing Prismatic tomorrow, right now. 100% coming tomorrow. No question. You be ready with the paycheck. Distro is going to be like, huh? I don't have money. Big boy distro is going to be like, I got all my money tied up here. I can't quickly move that money. You need to give me more time. And the other thing is, in big boy, when you're in the big boy business land, invoices aren't instant. Invoices are typically 90 days. Like you will typically pay an invoice 90 days after, right? Or even longer sometimes. So it'll be like, okay, cool. Invoice created 90 to 180 days later, Pokemon is getting paid, right? So in between that time, these guys are working out, how do I get that money? How do I give you that money? And that's where they start liquidating these, all their other products, working out what the hell they're going to do, start charging distro, charging LGSs, and then LGSs give them money, and it's this long giant form of a back and forth of how do we work out what's happening, right? So most people, I don't know if you're still watching, but typically the thing that people weren't understanding on my video talking about the no reprints is they were like, yes, but these two don't get told anything. So how do you know that no reprints are coming? But it's because these two were communicating, because these two always communicate. These two are always talking to each other, always planning, always working out the future. Because what you don't realize is Pokemon doesn't just randomly decide, I'm going to print 10,000 units this year and that's what you're getting. They are communicating with the distro that has gotten all the information and all the sell rates and every little metric that you can think of from the LGS to be like, okay, this set or these past sets had this sell-through rate for us, right? We were able to guarantee that we were liquidating all these products. So we reckon that you guys should print this amount, and this is what we would want. And that's when Pokemon will be like, all right, I get you. So we're going to do a little bit extra to, for the next set, because more demand every year, demand increases, as I said. So we're going to give you a little bit more each year, and everyone in this sphere is happy. When Pokemon overprints and distros can't get rid of it, that's when the distro gets annoyed and then starts having to lower, because these guys start to lose money, and then they're trying to put it onto LGSs. LGSs get upset because they can't buy it, because they can't sell it, because you don't want to buy it because there's too much of it, right? You're like, oh my god, this set's overprinted. No one wants it. So these guys struggle. So these guys struggle. And these guys at the top are just slowly reducing it. But at the end of the day, they already got paid. So they're happy. These guys just paid and need to get you to buy. Otherwise, they're not happy. And these guys here need you. It's this giant chain of every stage needs each other, and they all communicate between each stage. Yeah, I hope that made sense. This was on my mind just an extreme amount. I don't know why that this is such a complicated thing, but apparently there's a lot of people that just aren't educated, I guess. I don't know. It's really weird. You'd think if you are here and you know that your LGS buys from distro, you know that your distro is probably communicating with the people that they are buying from. It's when you buy something from Facebook Marketplace, what do? You communicate with the buyer. I don't know why this is so complicated of a situation for people to realize that everyone in the chain communicates to each other and knows what is coming, because they all need to prepare for it. Every stage needs to prepare for what the previous stage is doing. They can't get blindsided. These guys can't get blindsided by them. These guys can't get blindsided by them. Otherwise, everything in the chain breaks down. Anyway, that's the video. I don't know how long it is, but like and subscribe. I don't even know what to know. I don't even know what this channel is going to be. This is going to be me ranting constantly about random stupid things like distro, or I don't know, random business things that I think are interesting. It was meant to be a pure Pokemon channel, or purely about my business. But I feel like if I educate people on how everything else works, my business gets benefits as well. You know what I mean? Because if you realize that I'm under constraints from these guys, then you're going to be like, oh, I understand. That makes sense. No worries. Or it's going to continue being dumb, and doesn't bother me. End of the day, I know that these guys are trying their best, and it doesn't matter what little odd you is complaining about. These guys are doing what they know makes sense, even if you think that it's shit.